Thank you very much for your time. We actually have Jimm Chick. Jimm Chick is actually the head of knowledge management and communication unit of the West Africa Civil Society Institute. Jim happens to be one of the 12 fellows announced by the Global Fund for Community Foundations and Root Change this week for the Shift the Power Fellowship Program. So this particular interview, you want to know more about what the Shift the Power movement is all about. And then again, we also talk about the fellowship itself and how does it drive community philanthropy as well as community development. So James, thank you very much for having you on this interview.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Okay, thank you. Nice having you. Quickly, tell us, what is Shift the Power movement? What is it about?
Thank you very much. Basically, I really want to simplify the Shift the Power movement. And basically, it's a collection of like-minded individuals, like-minded institutions that have realized the power imbalance between actors in the global north and actors in the global south. And therefore, in an effort to ensure that there is an equitable share of power, especially one that recognizes the relevance, the role, and the importance of actors of the global south in the development landscape, they have come together to champion efforts that seek to boost the potential, seek to boost the accomplishments, seek to boost the force that actors in the global south have to ensure that together their voice, their place can really be recognized within the global development landscape. So the Shift the Power movement is this combination of like-minded actors who are basically collaborating, sharing ideas, networking, sharing experiences, from South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, other continents like Europe, America, to ensure that together we can valorize the contribution of actors in the global south and give them the deserved place to make sure that their contribution is not only recognized, but given due appreciation because of the relevant or the importance of their contribution to the overall development landscape.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Let me ask this. Having mentioned the agents that you want to get involved in this particular movement. This movement in particular started years ago, I would say about 10 years ago or even more. Do you see that it's actually gaining support? Is it really reaching the grassroots? Are people buying into it?
Yes, obviously. You realize that it started by a collective of discussants, from a conference, discussing the key lapses within, the development landscape. And from that conference that had or witnessed the participation of a handful of participants, today we have representatives or actors within the movement in other parts of Africa, for example, like in West Africa, in Burkina Faso, in Southern Africa, countries from Southern Africa, from East Africa, from Central Africa, who have understood the philosophy of the Shift the Power movement, agree to it, align, to it, and championing it in their own respective ways. First of all, one of the key ways that actors, particularly from the global south, are championing this agenda is to valorize the potential, like I said, valorize the resources we have in our own spheres, recognizing it, valorizing it, and utilizing that to complement what comes, from diverse stakeholders, particularly from the global north, as opposed to the prior existence or prior approach of being solely dependent on external support. So we can see that with this gradualistic and incremental approach of taking ownership of our values, our potentials, our resources, and capitalizing on those to drive the change we want, in collaboration with diverse stakeholders, that already shows that there is an increasing momentum in terms of those who are buying into the shift the power philosophy, which is a good thing. We are not yet there in terms of the mass that we want, but it is again an increasing process, and that is one thing that this fellowship that I am a part of is actually coming on board as a critical icing on the cake to ensure that, the fellows, the institutions they represent, the communities they represent can be connected to this or be more connected to this agenda, to this philosophy, and collectively we can take this action, take this movement a leap further towards the goal we seek to achieve.
Oh, interesting. It appears that this whole thing, the drive has been very phenomenal. Like you rightly mentioned, you've seen some sort of deep results so far. And of course, there is always room for improvement. But then let's talk about the fellowship. Since you mentioned that you being a part of the fellows, your idea is you want to be part of those who are championing these movements, and then again getting others involved, changing their mindset and buying into what it seeks to drive. Tell us, what would the fellowship do? How would it impact the drive of this movement?
One key thing to note is that the fellowship has really brought together some sharp minds from Nigeria, from the Philippines, from Southern African countries, across the globe. And these individuals are individuals who, in one way or the other, are contributing directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously, to the Shift the Power movement, bringing us together on this boat catalyzes that conscious effort to deliberately move the Shift the Power movement to a forward direction. In doing so, we, the fellows, we will remain or become more conscious of the micro contributions we are making to this agenda, and most importantly, in sharing our ideas, bringing our experiences to the table, discussing these experiences, appreciatively critiquing the perspectives of one another, and sharing insights on ways in which our peers can do what they are doing better in their respective communities, organizations, countries, continents, will actually be a deliberate way of ensuring that together we are building that momentum that is needed to really lift this agenda forward, to really make sure that the Shift the Power movement is brought to the spotlight, both practically, philosophically, and theoretically. And in other words, many of us will be carrying out diverse actions. There are some of us who will be interested in documenting our experiences. There are others who will be more interested in creating learning fora, experience sharing fora with actors out of the fellowship. So those are diverse ways that this fellowship will be creating a ripple effect in our communities to ensure that we will be agents of change, influencers that are really going to put the Shift the Power movement, the Shift the Power hashtag, the Shift the Power agenda into the global spotlight. And that is really something that we hope that these months that will be working together will help us achieve as a collective.
Oh, interesting. Another thing that seems quite interesting to me is about the diversity of the makeup of the cohorts. I mean, the fellowship program, you could see that these people are brought from different countries, about 10 countries, if I may say. I want to ask you specifically, what would be your key role? What would you be doing? Man, what areas would you, Jim, want to focus in this particular program?
That is a very, very important question. And just to say, I work predominantly in West Africa, as you know, and with the very noble and prestigious institution, the West Africa Civil Society Institute, and we connect with a wide range of actors from across the region. You know, we have, as an institution, and my humble self, we have been fortunate to engage in diverse activities that sought to collate the perspectives of different stakeholders on different key thematics that relate to the shift to the power movement. One of these is the localization agenda that, together with the Global Fund for Community Foundations, the Near Network Save the Children Denmark, we were engaged in gathering the understanding, the perspectives of and experiences of diverse actors, you know, across the region around this agenda. And in discussing with key informants that we interviewed through this research sometime last year, we came to the realization that some of these themes exist in the development in the humanitarian landscape, but are not well appreciated by actors in communities, actors at the grassroots level. And one of these is the theme, or such as shift the power. And that really caught my attention. Working in this space for over a decade now and talking to other actors that have equally been in the space even longer than myself, who have valuable experiences, who are doing one or more things that contribute to the shift the power movement, but are not aware of this dedicated space, dedicated efforts geared towards promoting the shift the power movement, came to me as a stark need that I should contribute to respond to. And so I expressed interest to be a fellow, and of course I am taking up the responsibility to ensure that I bring the movement, the agenda, to the spotlight, to the constituents that my organization serves. In so doing, I will facilitate knowledge curation, documentation, sharing of perspectives with diverse actors to ensure that we bring the shift the power agenda thematic to the spotlight and get more voices contributing to this agenda, more bright minds, more like-minded actors interested in this thematic, interested in this movement, and why not joining the movement so that we can have a force that is more powerful than those barriers that are currently impeding us from really achieving or sustaining the gains that we are working towards achieving as a people or a sector across the region.
Oh, interesting. So I want to ask this, having talked about this, I want to find out from you, community philanthropy in our various local communities. How do you see it? I want to first mention that, yes, so we are shifting power, that is the giver and then the receiver. The community, they want to be part of the whole process, be carried along, understand their priorities, and how they can be part of the entire development. So how do you see community philanthropy? What is the state of community philanthropy as it stands now, especially in West Africa, and using your capacity working with the West Africa Civil Society Institute that I know very well? You have a very deep touch with the grassroots. What has been your perspective so far about community philanthropy?
Thank you very much. I would say community philanthropy in West Africa, generally speaking, and in countries like Ghana, Cameroon, that have had a little bit more interaction with actors at community levels, I would say it is really a practice that is highly existent. However, should I say the structure of the practice, the documentation of that practice has been very, very weak. hence making the practice not to be in the spotlight, making the practice not to look like a worthy force that we need to rely on to shape the growth of our communities towards the direction that we need. If you take, for example, in Cameroon, let's take bike riders. Bike riders in specific communities tend to have a practice where on a daily basis, some of them, most of them actually, they come together in the evening and make a daily contribution. That daily contribution of from 50 bike riders is partitioned from what is collected, is partitioned amongst maybe 5 of the bike riders in that community. And that helps them to do savings from a micro to a macro level that they can then use to address personal problems, to address family problems, for example, paying the school fees of their children, for example, saving that money to buy a piece of land that they will construct, for example, to equip their houses, for example, to gather money, to pay bride price, etc., or to solve any other social need that they want to respond to. This is at the level of bike riders that I am witnessing on a daily basis in the neighborhood where I live in. If you take women in an even local community who are farmers, they may not have finances to put on the table, but they have human effort where they come together. It could be 10 of them, it could be 15 of them, and they cultivate the lands of one another, moving from one member's piece of land to the other member's piece of land. And in 2 weeks, they are able to cultivate hectares when you collectively put together the surface area that they have cultivated. This helps them to grow crops that they can sell, that they can feed, contribute to feed their families, and that they can promote their well-being as valuable entities within their communities. These are diverse ways that community philanthropy manifests itself from the very local level. But these are not well documented. These may not be very formally structured in a way that you can really measure the significant impact that this brings on board the economic development of the nation. And as a whole, it is really somehow left out of important discussions, especially when we are talking about economic growth, economic gains, social well-being of people. However, with these examples that I'm putting to the fore, and many others that I've not raised here, we would discover that community philanthropy plays a key role to galvanizing the well-being or ensuring the well-being of individuals, promoting a better standard of living for some, hence contributing towards the development of people, of a country from a micro level. So from our region, from our specific countries, community philanthropy is very well in existence, and it's really contributing significantly to the well-being of community members. However, we need to put a deliberate eye on these practices to ensure that we can capture them, we can capture what is going on, learn from the lived experiences, highlight some of the challenges, and even put forward some of the best practices that exist in this space, in this practice, that can be leveraged upon in different countries to ensure that community philanthropy as a whole grows into a vibrant force that Africans, West Africans, Cameroonians can build on to catapult the development of our respective communities, countries, and region at large.
Oh, interesting, interesting. That's a very interesting perspective. Thank you very much. So I want you to you are 12 fellows that are going to be championing this program from your side, of course, the fellowship. What would you tell your other fellowship members? What would you tell them? How would you advise them to be able to, I mean, together work and then achieve whatever desired results that you are looking for?
The piece of advice I will like to bring to the table is that let's share. We've had a first meeting and it was really a very interesting one. I think all of us are coming on board with great optimism, with great insights. Let's continue with that sharing spirit because I am coming to learn. I am coming to learn from the rich experiences that we are all bringing on board, and why not share the experiences that I've encountered within this space. So the key advice is that let us continue in that open-minded spirit to share. Let us continue to create that ripple effect that will raise awareness on the Shift the Power movement, Shift the Power agenda, and bring together more like-minded individuals who might, as of now, not know about this movement, not know about this agenda, because it is for us, it is ours. We need to champion it because without us, this movement, this agenda may not achieve the defined expectations that it is expected of it. And more so, beyond even the fellows, I am inviting everyone listening to this discussion now to actually engage. You know, if you're on social media, follow the hashtag Shift the Power, and you will get more and more updates on what is going on in real time, not only by the fellows, but also by the communities, the actors in different parts of the world, and whatever they are doing to move forward this agenda to the direction that we all need to take it to. You are needed to be on board. I am needed to be on board. Let us join hands. Let us put together our valuable contributions to ensure that the Shift the Power movement realizes the positive gains that will help shape the development and humanitarian landscape in a way that really valorizes the relevance, the importance, and the value that actors from the global south bring to the development table in our efforts to promote development across the region.
Oh, interesting. It appears you've already summed up the whole thing. I was about asking you what will be your last word for this, but if you don't mind, maybe you could just add one or two. But what will be your last word? We are about to wrap up this interview. What will be your last word to the world, to the fellows, to everybody, all the stakeholders involved in this particular program?
I would say that my last word is this fellowship is really an interesting initiative, the first of its kind, quite a great innovation from the global or by the Global Fund for Community Foundations. And we really want to thank the Global Fund for Community Foundations for creating or initiating this. Also to thank the West Africa Civil Society Institute and all my wonderful colleagues for the support that has been given to me, even at the early stages of this process, and I'm sure they will continue to support me all the way. I just want to say, given that it is a new initiative, I encourage everyone listening to this, interested in this initiative, to follow the updates that will be churned out through the different communication channels of the West Africa Civil Society Institute, the Global Fund for Community Foundations on this fellowship. Follow these updates. Get to know more about what we, the fellows, we will be doing, we will be putting out there, to interact, to engage with you. And if you have suggestions on how to make this fellowship more impactful to the sector, to us as fellows, to your organizations, and even to our organizations, do not hesitate to share this with us. We are on a learning journey, and it is a journey that we really want many more actors to be part of this journey. So we're very glad to have these boisterous engagements coming on board, from diverse stakeholders as we move along this journey. That will really be a key experience for me and hopefully for many of my peer fellows. And we look forward to your resourceful insights that will help us be the light that will pave way for brighter days ahead for this fellowship in the near future. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Jimm Chick. We are very grateful. We also want to once again congratulate you for being a part of this fellowship. We would say that this is a very good initiative and definitely would implore all stakeholders to put in their best to drive it, to see the desired results that we are all looking for. Thank you very much for having you.
Thank
today.
you very much.